If you hate your spouse, we'll sue him for divorce.
I do have my firearm in the bag, but that's it.
Okay, is it yours or is it stolen?
Registered to me. This is an immigration checkpoint. You gotta learn your rights. And you're about to learn your rights with the supervisor that's gonna come.
Sir.
Judges can see that you're full of shit. Like,
Because they deal with it on
Yeah.
a daily basis. That's the last person that you want to be crying wolf to. Like,
how are you gonna stop somebody for going 54 in a 65? You stopped them because he was driving while being black. You're wrong, sit down. Get out of my courtroom. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna put you in contempt if you continue to interrupt me.
The legal department made us wear blazers today.
Yeah, and no shoes, no blaze.
and I can't put both feet on the sofa at the same time because
No.
God forbid people see my toes.
Correct.
Yeah. If your baby daddy took too much testosterone and slapped you in the face, we can file a DV injunction against him. If your baby daddy stopped paying child support, we'll sue him for child support.
The plane takes off. The kid had no idea where this plane would be going.
Like, someone's gonna go to jail.
The kid ran away because he's being abused. There's gonna be an investigation open. The judge is gonna temporarily suspend time sharing.
Like fight night, perfect. I love it. I think it's like the best intro. Spin that shit.
Like, fight night. Sting like a bee.
That's good.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, that's gotta be the best thing that anybody's ever said. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Oh,
Muhammad Ali.
I thought it was I'm gonna knock this pussy. I was like, yo, lyrical genius over here. He's like, okay.
What else? What else?
Also that
But
is-
also, it's a solid line.
Solid.
Man.
So, I mean, if someone walked up to me and said that, I'd be like, okay.
Bueno.
Depends how many drinks I've had. Let's go. Round one.
And
Fight.
welcome to the Lawyer's Lounge, where we talk about legal nightmares that turn into legal solutions. And maybe some behind the scenes stuff.
HOA, baby daddies, partnerships broken. We've seen a lot. And believe me, there's a right way to get it done.
And if you are here, you're probably looking for an attorney or hoping for some free legal advice. This is not the place for that. If you want to speak to us as attorneys, you can go to rrb-lawyers.com and book a consultation there. Oh, smooth.
Yes, yeah, baby.
Like butter.
All right, talk to me. You said you had some things. I'm gonna give you the floor. Go ahead, producer.
Yeah.
Look at
Okay.
you.
So I guess we could go in turn. How far would you go for a client, right? So here's why that I was triggered to think that. A lot of attorneys, obviously it's our duty to inform the client of what litigation could cost. So we as attorneys, we have a duty to explain these kinds of things to our clients, the fact that litigation it can be extremely expensive, right? But sometimes the client does want to fight it out. And if they're informed, that's completely okay. There's attorneys who I've seen it happen. They're unwilling to engage in the fight because they think it's better for them not to engage in the fight. But at the end of the day, and it's my opinion that it's not my decision. It's the client's decision. If they want to fight it out, I will fight it out. Right?
So it's how far will you go for your client on their behalf? Got it. I didn't understand where we were going with this, so I was confused.
Obviously within
Within
parameters.
reason. If it's something that's like
I'm not
doesn't
gonna do
make
it-
sense, like
I'm not gonna do
unnecessary
anything-
motions and things like that. Because that's the other thing. I go far for you, but sometimes they want things that legally don't have a basis. Like I'm like, I understand that maybe it seems unfair to you, but legally speaking, there is no argument to be made. I'm like, it just sucks. Like,
Yeah,
it is what
you
it
simply
is.
got a fucking 57-105, and then you're like, okay,
What's a
this is what-
57-105?
57-105 is a letter that you get from opposing counsel telling you, this happens right at the beginning of the lawsuit, right? So you get that letter and it says, you should dismiss the case, your complaint has no basis for this, and this. Pursuant to 57-105, which is, Florida Statute 57-105, if you move forward, this is very paraphrased, very simplified. If you move forward knowing that your case has not, is not legally supported,
merit,
right? Has not merit, and then you lose, then as attorneys, we're responsible for the opposing party's attorney's fees. So, sometimes we get clients.
Because as an attorney, you should have known that there was no legal basis
Yeah,
for the
it's-
argument.
correct.
And you're creating
fees.
You
and
can do
stuff.
a
a frivolous lawsuit,
Yeah.
right? We're not allowed to file frivolous lawsuits. As
Correct.
officers of the court, we're expected to not abuse the legal system.
Correct. It's not like you think you have a case. Oh, people sometimes believe, oh, this is so unfair. My life is unfair.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, it's very unfair. However, how do you prove it? Why do we have to fight until the end? Now, when it comes to this type of issues like the 57105, right? There is an element of like knowingly, I believe my clients. And if I see that they have evidence that I believe, can help build a case, I will move forward. It's not like we want to just work for nothing, knowing that we might lose. Sometimes you don't know because you cannot guarantee results.
Yeah.
But if you get a 57105 at the beginning, you're always very, very conscious of, okay, I gotta know what I'm doing and I gotta know what can happen here.
Yeah.
And you move forward, and if your client is collectible, that's something that happens. But I'm very conscious of not filing just any lawsuit and not being suing
just
everyone
because.
like atroci mochai. That's not how it works. And we might get people, this was so unfair, and this person is a piece of shit and whatnot. And I'm like, I agree with you, he is, but what do you have to sue this person?
Yeah.
What you got?
There's no legal basis or there's no evidence to support your claim.
And then it might be the case in which a client wants to adjust the facts, right? Wants to bring in a witness who is willing to adjust the facts. And then you're like, okay, no, this is just not happening. And at that point, you decide, okay, am I going to continue representing this person?
Yeah.
Am I going to move forward with this? Because it's just a no. Yeah.
If it's going to get you in trouble, it's a definite hard no. If it's a
Correct.
frivolous lawsuit, it's a definite hard no.
Correct.
But so I guess the standpoint I'm coming from is if you don't think it's worth their money to fight, but they know it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Like they're in it for saying I have the right to do this, and I want it to be
And
known that I was correct. And,
exactly, and they have a full basis in the law. Obviously, I'm talking about it from a family law standpoint, where sometimes it is better for this parent to fight it out to the end, because even if it's going to be expensive, because it's going to benefit their children.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example, because it's hard to talk about things in theory, right? If mom needs to change her time sharing plan, her parental plan, because the dad either left, but he's making her life super difficult, doesn't consent to anything, the time sharing, he never executes it, he doesn't show up to pick up the kids. Modifying a parenting plan it can be very expensive when the other side is not in agreement. But for this particular mom, it might be better to just spend the money and go through and fight it out till the end, because the end result on the other side is that she can raise these children for the next 8 years with some peace.
Yeah.
Right? So I feel that as long as the client knows that it's going to cost a lot of money, I'm still going to be willing to fight the fight for you. And not a lot of other attorneys, that's not true. Other attorneys might not, right? So it's important.
That's right. Other attorneys might say,
Yeah,
no,
it
you
doesn't
don't
make
have
sense.
a case.
or it just doesn't make sense to
Yeah.
go this far with it. Like, what are you benefiting from this when you're spending all that money? Because it's expensive. Going
Very.
full blown, and at least what you're dealing with is family, and in that sense, like there's like a moral compass in
And
here.
there's
And
a
she's like, I
child.
was a child. Like I'm trying to correct this, but like in a lawsuit, like with a contractor, for instance, people that have work done to their house. And let's say it was for a kitchen, it was 10 grand, it wasn't done correctly, they want to go after them for the 10 grand, but they're going to fight you on it. And guess what? You may very well end up spending
100%.
way more than your kitchen was even worth. But to them, it's the principle that matters. They're like, no, I want them to know that they were wrong. I want it on the record. And I want someone to say, you're going to pay me back, even if it costs more than what it cost me to make the kitchen. But it's just like, and you have to say, like, you are aware that you're going to be spending all this money. And they're like, no, I want it. And it's like,
You might win and you might not.
okay, if that's what you want. But I think if you're transparent with them and they're aware of their situation and what it's going to look like, 100% I'll go forward with it. I mean,
Yeah,
It's your,
absolutely.
it's your right. It's your case. I mean,
Same in business, you know, this is Miami. People do business over text messages, and people do business for like $1 million over text, and there's not a contract, and it gets complicated, right? And it has been the case in which a client is like, I don't care. I know this person is not collectible. I know he owes me a lot of money, but I want a judgment on his head. I want him to know, and I
can't keep
want the
doing
court
this.
to say that he owes me $250,000.
and it's just gonna follow him. And they'll
Correct.
probably
And
never collect
wherever
a penny
he goes,
of it.
correct. But he is someone who is financially stable, has a lot of money, and you know, he's a businessman. He's like, I want it. And I'm like, we are gonna get the judgment, but you're gonna spend a lot of money. He's like, I don't care. I'd rather pay you, but I want that judgment on his head. I love it.
So-
I
so-
love it.
It's like an emotional
hold them
aspect to
accountable.
it.
So
Yeah.
I interesting you say that. So that holds in court? Can that hold in court like a text message business deal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Email, stuff like
It
that,
depends.
even if it's not.
Yeah, it's
Got it.
more than text. It's just behavior.
I got it.
Yeah, you know, conduct and
Wow.
And email is
Of course.
considered a writing, even if it's
Yeah,
not
it
a
is a
official
writing.
contract.
100%.
If it's written
Interesting.
somewhere, you can use that.
Wow.
Text messages are in
It's,
writing.
you got to be
I
careful
mean,
what you
I,
put in words.
I, of 100%. Words matter.
yeah.
100%.
So
That's why attorneys are so careful with what they
We don't send off emails in 2 seconds.
with what you write
yeah, yeah,
What-
yeah.
in text messages and what you write in an email.
Sure.
Correct.
You know, sometimes you want when you are negotiating, sometimes it's better to have that conversation over the phone because you don't want that set in stone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe even in the beginning, like you're just troubleshooting. You're kind of just
Throwing things around.
throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks. You don't necessarily want that in an email because what if you don't want to commit to? What if you don't want to commit to those numbers? What if you don't
Correct.
want to commit to that schedule, right? So just think about what you write down.
Interesting.
Always. They've always said it like, would you want this read in court in front of a bunch of
Yes.
people? If that's
Yes.
not the case, do not
Do
write
not
it.
write
it. Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
All the freaking
Do not
time.
write it.
And
That
let-
is.
that happens in family court.
Interesting.
If you are threatening your baby mama
I've heard.
over a text message,
That's coming out.
that's coming into court, baby. Because you wrote it,
And we'll read all of them.
and I'll read it. And I'll read it to the judge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, when I was in law school, I accompanied an attorney to hearing in a family law case, and there was a petition for modification of the parenting plan. And the issue was that the mom texted the dad that she wanted to pick up the kid at this time on this day, get him for a few more days, la la la, and he liked the text message. He liked it. Whoop, yes. And then she did it, and then he said, oh, no, but this is not what I want, this is not what I meant. And the attorney's argument was, this is 2024, you do this,
It means okay.
it
yes.
means okay. You cannot say,
You liked, like you know how you double tap and you hit the like?
yeah. And then,
That's
hold on.
assent.
And then the judge said, I don't remember who the judge was. It was not a Miami case, it's an Orlando case. That was a long time ago. And the judge was like, the dad goes, well, I didn't know my rights back then. This is why I'm fighting this now, because it was something that had happened a few months in advance. And then the judge literally told this guy, okay, you're a grown ass man. So
Yeah.
stop with the whole, I didn't know your rights, la la la. Like basically,
Judges can cut
suck
through
it
bullshit.
up.
Yeah.
Like, suck it up.
because
What are you
gotta put
saying?
People in their place sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Judges can see. Judges can see that you're full of shit. Like
Because they deal with
Absolutely,
it on a
absolutely.
daily basis.
Yeah.
Like that's the
Yeah.
last person that you want to be crying wolf to. Like, please, they've
Yeah.
heard it all.
So everything was based on that text and that liked. And I was like, whoo,
Good to know.
oh yeah.
good to know.
So funny you said that earlier about the whole writing. So I had an old partnership that went sour for multiple reasons, and it got to the point where this old partner of mine wouldn't pick up my phone call, and he would say, "We need to communicate via text." or email or send me whatever you want. And I was like, obviously, his father was a lawyer.
Ah.
His father told him,
Yeah.
stop talking on the phone. to
Stop
this guy."
talking on the phone and get things in writing.
Keep it in-
Because in Florida, you can't record another person without their consent.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
not accessible in court.
Got it. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not admissible in court.
Admissible in court. Interesting. So, which makes sense. And I knew that, but to hear it from like,
Yeah.
you know, the mouth of the professionals that deal with this, just give me the yeah, exactly.
And also, when you look at the totality of the whole thing, the circumstances, right?
Yeah.
It's been the case in which a judge has found, although there is not a lease agreement, there's been a landlord-tenant relationship, and there's not writing. So it's very interesting.
It comes up a lot in real estate,
yeah, it's
especially
very-
in Miami. You have people that are renting and then they're supposed to move out, the lease ends. They're like, "Can I stay 2 more months?" There's no writing about it. There's no nothing. They're like, "Yeah." So what happens? They take money. It's an exchange. And then now the landlord's like, "I want them out." And I'm like, you created another lease,
Yeah.
essentially is what you did. It's recognizable in court. You're on a month-to-month basis, but that's what you did. The act of accepting the money from them and letting them stay, you just created, now there's a process for that. Now you can't just show up and kick them out. It doesn't work that way.
Okay, so wait, hold on. That's interesting to know. So let's say I sign a year lease, minimum a year lease. The year lease is up, goes into the next month, and I decide to just pay. It goes into a month-to-month.
You just created a month-to-month agreement.
And you become a holdover tenant.
And a holdover tenant. And if he decides to kick you out, he still has to give you notice.
And
You still have to go through court. Just because there's no signed agreement does not mean that I can show up and be like, "Move."
And how long
Now
does
you
that
got to
court?
go through court. You got to give them a 15-day notice, submit it, do the whole eviction proceeding, and then good luck when you get your writ of possession getting it served by the sheriff because they're backed up too. So now you're looking at probably a whole other month of waiting, month and a half.
And if you want to
before
rush
you get
it,
them out.
it's
And
like
if you wanna rush it,
$1,700 or something like that.
Because they make
extremely
money
expensive.
on rushing, issuing writs of possession by the sheriff. So you want it done tomorrow, $1,500.
So
Pay up outside of what you already paid the court
correct.
Right.
for your proceedings. So that doing of somebody a favor of, you know what, you can stay 1 more month, don't do it. Write it down.
Don't do it.
And the same, it's been the case where someone buys a property that's rented, right? And then the owner says, "Oh, you know, the sellers, this lease is gonna end in 3 months," and then the person buys the property thinking that he's gonna be able to move in 3 months. The 3 months are already there, and then they get a notification from the tenants telling them, "Oh, we're exercising our option to extend this lease another year." Why? Because nobody took the time to read that lease and make sure that they didn't have an exclusive option to extend for another 12 months. So now this new owner, transaction closed, you're the owner, you're hoping you buy the property because you want to make that property your primary residence in 3 months, but now you got the option. They have the option to
They
extend.
exercise their
And they
option.
have the right to
Correct.
do it.
And all that can be fixed doing one thing, reading the lease. And number 2, there is something called the tenant estoppel letter, in which when you buy a property, you know, that's rented, you want to know all the terms, how much money the previous owner is holding. You want to know the terms of that lease, and you want to know where you're acquiring because you might be buying a problem.
The same way you're buying in an association, you get a estoppel from the association to see how much are the monthly dues.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to have an assessment coming up soon that I need to know about? You do the same thing if there's somebody living in that house. You want to know
Exactly the
all
same.
the terms.
Wow.
Just a little
But
piece of
people
paper.
don't ask. Not everybody asks, and people unfortunately don't always go through all the steps and check off the boxes. It's very easy,
Yeah.
and it happens when you're dealing with a closing for a house. There's a lot of little details. I don't care how good your list is. I don't care. There's a lot of little details that you need to pay attention to, and a lot of things can go unnoticed. So,
Correct.
and then people are stuck in a really shitty situation. You can't move into your house, and it happens all the time.
It does, yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
It's very hard. And then right now, you have a person who is happy, ready to move in, and then a tenant, you have a situation there. What do you do? And then the person gets like very, you know, mad, and they want to sue the previous owner, and it's just a problem. They just bought themselves a problem for a lot of money. But you have to be self-aware, and you have to know.
Conscious.
Like you gotta check yourself.
Yes,
like,
you gotta
okay.
check yourself, and you gotta ask yourself,
Before you wreck yourself.
am I being biased here?
You gotta check yourself before you wreck yourself.
being biased or am I, looking at this situation with the
Like fair.
clear, like in a fair way, right? And I do believe in the Constitution and the legal system and the whole thing. However, big problem is the people who run the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how many laws we have, how many written statutes we're gonna have, how much precedent. At the end of the day, is someone who has a lot of power. It's just a person with a lot of knowledge and power, and it's a different understanding and interpretation, and a whole bunch of factors. And it's just like what happened to you.
I mean, we have it
And
at
maybe
the highest
someone's
level.
having a bad
the Supreme
day.
Court
Like,
is
But that
is
is
there's legal discourse about how the Supreme Court, these are people who are appointed for life.
Yeah.
Which is
And-
crazy
and-
for life. Like,
Right, and human beings are biased, So at all levels it happens, right? And that's a huge criticism that people have, obviously.
like
You
everything
see
in
it at the
life.
Supreme Court level because that's the supreme law of the land, but it happens at all levels. The same thing that we are worried about with the Supreme Court happens
it happens the whole way down.
all the way down.
Yeah.
All the way down.
Is that why you said, like, the whole bias thing? Is that why you said I'd make a good criminal lawyer?
Did I say that?
Yeah.
She takes it back. No.
Yeah. Clearly.
If she doesn't
No.
remember,
No, because
I don't think
you
I said criminal lawyer.
No,
I think
you said-
lawyer in general, and it's because you're really analytical. You're analytical, and you're good at reasoning, I think. And people are always like, "Oh, I love to argue, so I should be
That
a
is not-
lawyer." That's like the last thing that you should have as a lawyer. But like, number one is
there's so much more than arguing.
reasoning, right? Reasoning, being able to synthesize information and then apply it to your case.
And to convey what you want to
convey,
say
yeah.
in a convincing,
That's why you would be a
firm,
good lawyer.
nice way. The way
the
you
nice,
say.
the nice part is
That's tough. But
the
you
shit
also
that I
have a way of saying things. Like you spoke with us earlier, and you have a way of bringing the message so it's well received. Like you have that. So
I mean,
in case you get bored of producing.
I will never. I don't think I'll ever step foot in the law because
Because you're pro se Jose.
because I'm pro se Jose.
He's
no,
against
because
us. He doesn't like lawyers.
your
because
ego, though.
because so you remember I was thinking about that on the way from this mission of a day that I had. I was like, because I was so pissed off. I was like, you know what? I swear to God, this is gonna make me want to go to law school. Just a
You're
red
so
light
dramatic.
ticket. I swear to God. But I'm either very here or there's no in
It's
between.
either
So
zero
I'm
or like
I'm
1,000.
either gonna fucking go or I'm just not gonna do it. I don't care, right? So
Just
So-
like Maria.
That's probably why I think you're going to be a good lawyer. Because
Wow,
you're like
there you
me.
go.
You resonate.
There you
Because
go.
you're like
Yeah,
me.
yeah. But in my mind, I'm like, I was so pissed. I'm fucking flying down the highway. I'm like,
That's illegal.
I know.
You
No,
see?
wait.
You
I said
see?
flying down the highway. I didn't say how fast I was going. Chill.
Okay.
Okay, you're
and
right.
then-
You see how you're good?
Yeah.
You see how
Words
you're good?
matter a lot.
So I'm pissed off. I'm like, I swear this is gonna make me just go back, get my degree, and apply to law school. Like
so
I thought about it. So I'm
So
like,
you can stick
all
it
I
to
have
the
to do is, and I did the numbers
Can
in
you
my head and
imagine
everything.
All of
going
that.
into $350,000 worth
because
of debt?
of one ticket.
One ticket.
One too many.
One ticket that was less than 350
Yeah.
bucks.
Yeah.
He's gonna win the first one and be like, "All right, I did it. Peace
Yeah.
out,
I
everybody."
swear to God, I promise. But then reality struck, and I remember the conversations that we had about how important it is that because you guys are representatives and officers of
The court.
Of
of the
court,
court. I was gonna say the law. Officers of the court. I don't want that stripped away from me. I can't, and I commend you guys on that because I have and I'm not gonna say a hard time because I could easily tell you to go fuck off and I don't want you as a client. I have I have a very particular way of vetting people before I take them on board as a client, and I love what I do and how I do it, and I can't compromise that part of me.
Yeah.
Which I commend you guys for, and anybody that's in a profession that is, I guess, scrutinized so much, because it's tough.
Yeah, we do a lot. I remember the first week or like second week of law school, there was this conversation about social media, and I don't, the way you present yourself on social media and how much it matters, whatever. And I remember going through my IG, like how many pictures with a drink I have, and like deleting.
Everything gets scrutinized.
I did that exercise too.
Yeah, I did that.
Which is crazy how many pictures you take, like just holding a cup.
Holding
and I'm like,
a
even
cup.
if it was
Yeah.
nothing, like
Even if it was
now it's ingrained in my
water,
brain. Like when I go to take a photo, like I move so you don't see. I'm like,
I always take it out of frame.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you can see, this is water. But if we're drinking out of a cup that's
that you can't
like
see.
last week, we were drinking out of like opaque
tumbler.
And we
stuff.
even thought about it, and I was like, okay, are people gonna think that we were drinking alcohol?
Yeah.
So today I was like, okay, this is.
It could just be a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
There could be a lot of
Yeah,
alcohol
I
in
wouldn't
there.
be mad about it though, but
No, it's Friday.
Also, I think there has to be some type of probable cause. Assuming that something happened, right? There has to be a period where your words start to slur, and then they can use that in evidence as like you were drinking. Look at how you looked before, then after.
Look at you, probable
Yeah.
cause.
Right.
That is a probable
It's a
cause
standard.
is a criminal standard. We don't
Yeah.
have it in civil.
Well, it'd be criminal if you guys were fighting for your license back, right?
No.
no,
not?
administrative.
Oh, it's administrative. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
We
No,
got
but
time, don't
you're
No,
listen,
but you're
Pros and
great.
cons.
it's what I tell my assistant, because my assistant gets our assistant gets wrapped up in trying to understand legal stuff, and I'm like, it's okay. I don't expect you to learn how to do everything in a day. We went to school for 3 years just to learn the basics of it.
Very
The
basic.
very basics of it.
Yeah.
And then you practice, and you learn so much more in practice. So because you read one motion, you're not going to understand
you're not gonna
it.
understand the whole thing.
You're not going to
It's
understand.
hard.
And that's what happens to pro se's too. Like, we went to school just to learn the basics, right? We learned so much in practice
A lot.
and we're exposed to it every day.
Yeah.
Over and over and over, different situations. You're only exposed to your one situation. We're exposed to hundreds of different, thousands of different situations.
And there's situations that I don't wanna deal with. I might get a phone call and I'll be like, okay, no, there's too much going on here. This is gonna get very complicated. I know who we always like to have, like kind of like a network of attorneys that we know, that we can refer
That we
clients
trust,
to, right? And we trust, because you're not gonna be like referring a cualquier gente ahí y después la abogada me mandó y era un come mierda. No.
Yeah.
No, you have to trust your people.
Correct.
Because it's a reflection.
It's an
I
extension.
touched the
it
furry
ruined.
thing that I have on my face, on my body. It's an extension of who you are.
Yeah,
because if you
absolutely.
are telling the client, because obviously like we care about the client, right? So when you send them to somebody who like doesn't really execute well,
It goes back.
what
it
you're
goes back to
what you're
us.
telling the client is that you don't care about them.
Correct.
Because you sent them to some come mierda who, one, either treated you like crap,
Or worse, didn't even pick up the phone.
yeah, I hate
Like,
when people
Even if
don't-
you can't
don't
help,
pick up the
just
phone.
pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Like, just please
And
do me the
refer
favor of
someone
explaining to them
else.
why you cannot help. Same way we didn't take on the case and we explained why we can't help.
Mm-hmm.
Just offer them that, because they're going through a very difficult situation as it is. They're looking for an attorney.
Yeah.
Don't make it harder for them. Like,
Yeah,
just pick
make
up the
it
phone.
simple, So yeah, there's situations that I'm like, okay, no, this is way too much. I'm not there yet. I'm gonna send you to
Or it's
someone
just
who,
not your practice area.
yeah, or
Yeah.
just it goes like way too far from what I really want to do. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna send you to this guy. He's been doing it for a whole bunch of years. Go.
And that's part of the responsibility and the fiduciary duty that we owe to clients, right? Like, don't take a case that you are not equipped for, and that you know that you can't feasibly, because like the court expects us to either make ourselves
Knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable enough.
either you are or you make yourself, right? But there are things that are beyond your reach quickly enough to help the client.
Yeah,
and
efficiently.
to
Like,
be-
you have to be able
yeah.
to move the case along. Like, when you file a case, like a lawsuit, they're going to give you a calendar of dates, and you got to meet all these dates. If you can't move it along, you need to find somebody that can, because going to court costs money and it takes time. And you go to file a case and a lawsuit and you're trying to find a hearing date, they are backed up.
Yeah,
Like,
judges.
they have a lot on their plates to be dealing with people that don't know how to move a case along, which happens a lot. And you're like, people request extension. It's like, people have actual problems that need to be dealt with. Like, you got to be able to move it quick.
I know this is later in the segment because we're gonna do the reactions. That what you just said is one of the videos in the segment where a judge is like, dude, we have so many cases. Move on.
Move it along.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the videos that we saw last week of that same judge. I went through the rabbit hole. I like that guy.
There's a
man.
lot of those.
Yeah.
I like that guy a lot.
Yeah.
There's really good judges out
Yeah,
there.
judges are pretty. Like, we have a great opinion about judges,
Yeah.
even though they can be rough.
I haven't had
I
any
don't
bad
mind
experiences.
judges who are rough because
Yeah.
they're being rough for a reason.
Yeah, I don't
like
care.
usually it's the judge is not being rough because they had a bad. Like sometimes yes, they have a bad day and they, you know,
Yeah, they're people. I mean,
they're
it
people
happens.
like everybody else. But normally they're rough because of what's happening. Like
Yeah.
they need to they don't reprimand, but like you take them to task. Like you have to tell people that they're doing something wrong. Like it happens in family court all the time.
And sometimes, like judges, they don't even have lunch, so you can have your time in court. You can have your injunction heard because that's something that is it is an emergency when you want somebody not to do something and you file the proper motion for that. And then the judge will say, "Oh, I didn't even have lunch, guys, to give you this hearing, this like hour, 2 hour, whatever." And you're like, wow, they work a lot.
Yeah.
So you got to be prepared.
Criminal judges are actually on standby.
Oh, yeah.
Because you sometimes need warrants are really sensitive, right?
Yeah.
And you need them signed immediately, or your probable cause dies. Like your probable cause can die.
Yeah.
So you need that warrant signed. If it's 2 a.m., they're calling the judge and they're like, "Judge Jose Proze, sign this because we need to execute this warrant. We need to do a no-knock warrant. Like we need to bang down this guy's house because there's kids in there that are being abused or whatever, right?" But judges, they
put a lot on their plate.
Yeah,
like
the Proze Jose's don't believe in the legal system and they like to shit on judges a lot. But honestly, they work pretty hard. Like they're good. They're for the most part. Obviously, there's judges who are, but I've never been in front of a judge and I'm like, wow.
I don't know any in the events that we've been to, all the judges.
with judges. Yeah,
I
they're
feel like
regular
Miami
people,
judges are like great.
They're pretty good. Yeah, I think they're pretty good. Maybe we haven't been exposed to enough bad judges, and that's why we say that. But
I mean,
but we also
Thank
don't
God,
hear. Yeah, but we also don't hear all the attorneys we know and we network with, and nobody says anything.
no.
nobody complains too
Not
much.
really.
No.
Yeah.
Like the judges.
Maybe we're biased because we're attorneys and
There's that though. Yeah, there's
we're like,
that.
these jobs are so hard.
Yeah.
I
Look at what we
mean, my
do.
job. I'm gonna say right now, our job is harder than the judge's job.
Yeah,
Because the judge,
deals with us.
the judge. No, we're
Well,
like
unless
filtering.
you have the pro
Yeah.
se litigants that come
Yeah,
to
you're the
family.
vetting
which-
process.
We're like the middle guy. We're like
Yeah,
the
but
middle
here's the
guy.
difference.
pretty
Here's the
before it
difference.
goes.
The judge can tell you to go fuck yourself. I can't tell my client to go
No.
fuck himself, but the judge can stand up there and be like, "You're being ridiculous, Proze Jose." Like he has the authority to like say that.
You are wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're wrong. Sit down. Get out of my courtroom. Like,
Yeah, I'm gonna put you in contempt if
And
you
they
continue
will.
to interrupt it.
They have
and
a
they
little
will.
bit more authority. Whereas, like, we have to just take it.
Yeah, because then we get fired.
And not only do we take it from our clients, we take it from the judge.
Oh yeah,
We take it from opposing counsel.
the JA.
on their behalf.
From the
We're
JA.
just like,
Man, I have
What's the JA?
The
judicial assistant.
Okay.
I've had some conversations with judicial assistants where I walk away feeling like the stupidest human being in the world. Like I'm like, wow, I really asked some dumb questions because they
they
are rough. Like if you ask them something slightly stupid,
Yeah.
they'll let you know
For
that you're
context, all the judges have a
Oh,
JA,
yeah.
so they deal with, all the judges have their own way of handling their motions, their calendars, how they want things submitted. You can't just call up a judge and ask them, "Hey, how would you like this presented?" First
First of all, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You don't talk to the judge.
You don't
It's
talk
called-
to the
That's
judge.
called ex parte communication. Because
So no one
I
talks
want to
to
make
the
this
judge.
didactic, right?
Yeah.
Like I want you guys to learn.
Wow, wait, whoa.
Didactic?
That is the word of the week.
Wow.
I really hope I used it.
Are we gonna
correctly.
get it like over her head? Didactic.
I want it rainbowed. Didactic. And then I'm trying. Is this helping? Yeah. Is this
Amendments. She's doing amendments.
Are you proud of me? Legal department.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Wow. It's the blazer.
It's the blazer. Yeah, I should always wear it.
That's a blazer. Thank God. I feel so intelligent right now.
The legal department made us wear blazers today.
Yeah, and no shoes, but blazer.
And I can't put both feet on the sofa at the same time because
No.
God forbid people see my toes.
Correct.
Yeah, no, your hideous toes.
Which are done, by the way. It's not they're not painted.
Yeah, mine are.
Anyways, but continue with didactics.
Didactics, go.
Explaining how the
Please.
JA helps.
Please.
The JA.
Oh, it's called ex parte communications, and you cannot have an ex parte communication with a judge. It's called speaking to the ex parte means speaking to the judge outside of the presence of the other party and outside of the presence of the opposing counsel.
Yeah, the judge is not
You
your
can't do that.
amiguito.
That's like you can if you have ex parte communications with the judge, the other side can move for for recusal to dismiss the case. Like there's repercussions for it because that's not right. It's not fair.
All communication has to be open. So, anyways, since no one can just speak to the judge like that, the JA is literally on the front lines dealing with the hundreds of attorneys that have
How
cases.
do I file this petition? Did you read the instructions on the judge's website?
Yeah, all day. They deal with it
Yeah, they
all
do a
day.
lot
They
of really
prepare
dumb
everything for the
questions.
judge so they can see what needs to be organized first, like what needs to be signed off on. So imagine they're dealing with us all day, people calling.
I could
and
never.
For us, it's the most important issue at the moment because we're on deadline sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, there's times where I'm like, I need this like reviewed right now. And they have heard that probably 20 times in the past 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
And they try
I
very hard
commend
for
them
us.
because they have a very, very tough job.
Yeah.
But I've gotten a lot of very, very nice JAs.
Yeah, no, and they're extremely
So
helpful.
yeah.
They're extremely helpful.
There's a lot
for
of
sure.
people that are involved in getting a case pushed through and heard.
Yeah,
and,
and clients don't
resolved.
see that. I feel like they have no idea what happens after they hire an attorney.
Well,
And it's like everything in life, right? You guys
Exactly.
are a part of a profession that,
Yeah.
listen, you don't know what you don't know.
exactly.
Right.
If something breaks in my house and I don't know how to fix it, I have to call a
Correct.
tradesman.
Yeah,
I have to,
absolutely.
And the same thing, right? You're gonna charge me how much you get for the floor? You're just fucking putting it, but I don't know
Yeah,
what
you
goes
see
behind.
it.
Go,
and you're
go,
like,
come
what the
do it.
hell?
Go,
Yeah,
go,
exactly.
go, come be Jose.
Jose.
Hold on.
I-
And
I-
do
I-
it well.
Yeah,
And do it
and
well.
do it well.
Yeah, well, I could break shit. So they're doing my
Everybody can break
bathroom,
shit.
right? And,
Right.
and the guy wanted to charge me I don't know how much for demolishing the bathroom. I was like, wait, hold on. I just got to break everything in here?
No, I did that.
I got it. I'll do that. Let me do
But
it.
sounds
here's the
therapeutic,
thing.
honestly.
How long did it take you to break your bathroom?
I'm pretty resourceful.
But it took you a long
me-
time, right?
It took me it took me longer than a professional would. 100%. There's no doubt
But you
about it.
save money and then whatever.
Yeah, I save money and it is what it is, right?
But
Yeah.
everything
but it's
comes
not a
down-
life or a life-changing experience
Correct.
where what you guys do for a living is. So those types of things, I would hope people are smart enough to, not go Jose Prose and hire a professional that knows what they're doing, man.
Sometimes it's not even about being smart. Sometimes it's about not having the money because attorneys are not.
They're expensive.
Attorneys are expensive because of what it entails, right? So sometimes it's just like they don't have the money or they think they can do it themselves or they don't know any better or they're scared. Like people who have
Or they don't trust.
they
They've
don't
had
trust
bad
because
experiences.
correct, like everything. Because and not even bad experiences because you know how some people always say, "Oh, I hired this attorney and they didn't do anything for me," and maybe there was nothing to do for you.
Yeah.
It's not that the attorney didn't do the job. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
maybe
just
there
there
was
was
nothing to do
nothing
for
to
you.
do.
The best was done and that's it. That's all it was there.
Yeah.
So it's hard. And then sometimes they come to the office, you want to help them, but at the same time, I'm like, this is not a nonprofit. Like I have to make money. And this is what I went to school for. You don't go to the doctor and you like regateas los precios. You go to the doctor and you
Yeah.
pay and that's it. You know what I mean?
Regatea.
No, I'm telling you.
No, it's true. Do you guys?
Didactic moment. Regatear means to haggle. Now, not only have you learned something about the law, but you've learned another language. You're welcome.
Look at us.
Gracias.
You got okay. This is an interesting question because regatean, right?
Yeah.
How do you guys? And you don't have to answer it, but just for context, how do you guys then price your services compared to competitors? What makes you guys different, or are you guys? How does that work inside of the field that you guys practice? Right?
Legal.
Yeah.
This one's for you.
It depends on the complexity of the issue, the experience you have, how many years you've been practicing, what's the market price for the years, in accordance with the years of practice, the complexity of the matter, the results that you can achieve, all those issues. How much work you got to do. Mostly you have a retainer and then you have an hourly rate, or sometimes it's just a flat fee, depending if it's a simple thing. It depends if it's a contract, if it's a family a divorce, how complicated it is. So it depends, but it's mostly that. Experience, complexity, how much research is gonna take you, how much time you think it's gonna take you.
And all of those considerations, right? So there is a basic formula. It's
Correct.
how much work you need to do times your hourly rate. That's the basic formula. But those two components are based off of that.
The experience.
So your hourly rate is based
Novelty
on
of the issue.
Yeah, exactly. So that goes into the time portion of it, and then you have your hourly rate, which is based on it's commensurate with your years of experience, and then your
The type of process that it is.
your area,
And all that is
like
explained.
your geographical area too,
Correct.
because a New York attorney charges a different rate than a Wisconsin attorney.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, we're in Miami. We price it based on other Miami lawyers.
Who've been practicing for the same amount of time.
Right.
If you're a solo practitioner, because we deal with clients directly. It depends on the firm, right? When you deal with clients, you charge them by the hour. And if you want to talk to me for 30 minutes, I am so sorry, but I have to charge you for 30 minutes. It's just the way it is, right? And that also limits the amount of phone call that you get from your current clients, because if we allow you guys to call all the time, then we'll be talking to a lot of clients and we wouldn't be drafting.
Getting no work done.
No work done, like zero. I'm telling you, zero. And then a 30-minute conversation becomes a 45-minute conversation, and then
An hour.
and then I'm like, okay, I gotta let you go to work on your case. Goodbye. And that's it. And then are you always gonna charge an hour? You're not gonna do that, because then people are not gonna be able to afford, an attorney. That's not fair. So a lot of factors, you take into account. when
We
it comes
also
to-
bill, another didactic moment, we bill by the 10th of the hour.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
So just because you talk to me for 20 something minutes doesn't mean I'm going to charge you an hour, right? Like I charge you 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and you see that in your invoices when you
Yes.
get sent an invoice from an attorney who does hourly work. There are some things that are flat fees, like deeds, for example. You don't charge. That's a transactional piece, so that gets charged on a flat fee basis.
Yeah.
There are also
Like some contracts, it depends.
Depends.
Right?
Demand letters, maybe that's a flat fee. In probate, we
You're
charge.
limited by stuff.
We're limited by statute. Well, the statute tells you what reasonable means. It's a percentage of the estate, right? There's a small formula that says it's the income, it's the worth of the estate, whatever. I'm not gonna call me and I'll tell you what it is.
There's that.
305-209-1335.
There you go.
Nice.
I was having a conversation with a colleague recently about dealing with, because we're client facing, right? We deal with clients, and sometimes people are rude to us.
Very.
Sometimes people are very rude and or mean and we don't know why they're being mean or rude or whatever, but they are. And I'm like, how do you deal with this kind of situation? Because normal people, when you are rude to anybody, what's the reaction? To be like, go fuck
Defensive.
yourself.
Yeah.
Right? We can't do that. I can't tell you to go fuck yourself because you were rude to me. That's just not the way it is. So I was like, how do you react to that? How do you shift the narrative in your mind so that you are not like defensive, right?
Yeah.
And the piece of advice really was that this person is probably having one of the worst days of their life, right? They're either being sued or they're having issues with their family. Somebody just died. They had an accident. They're not in a healthy place. To me, that sounds normal, right? Because this is what I deal with on a daily basis. But to that person, this is the worst thing that's happening to them.
And it's their whole world. Like,
And
this
it's
is
their
everything.
whole world.
Yeah.
So once you shift that perspective, you can say, I'm sorry, I think we're having a miscommunication here. I don't mean to sound like I'm not interested or whatever, like whatever it is. Basically, the conversation was like,
From an understanding place.
from an understanding
You have
place, yeah. So like, to give a firm example, it was an intake call that my colleague had taken or whatever, and this happens all the time, right? It was an intake call, and I guess he sounded like he wasn't listening or something like that. And then the lady, like, or the guy, I don't know, it was a client, like a potential client, was like, well, if you're not interested in helping me, I'll just go call a big name firm, like probably like
Whatever,
Like another
yeah.
competitor.
some other competitor, right? And he was like, no, I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. Please tell me like what it is that you need. I think we're having a misunderstanding. It's not that. It's not that I don't want to call you. It's that by law I can't call you. I'm not allowed to call you. You have to give me permission, or you have to reach out to me, or whatever it is.
It's not, you can be reaching out to people like that.
Yeah.
Hey,
No, we can't call people and be like, hey, do you need my service?
Yeah, that's soliciting.
Can't do that.
Yeah,
That's
you
soliciting.
Soliciting.
Yeah. The client has to say it's okay for you to call them.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can't just, if you send somebody to me, I have to have permission. I always ask, I'm like, do they want to be contacted or do they want to contact me?
Yeah.
So okay, I have a question on that, because you guys also have access to public records, which means that if somebody's going through a potential legal issue, you can reach out.
Correct. But you have to comply with the rules.
Yeah,
With the
Florida
Florida
Bar
Bar
has a
rules.
whole
Yeah.
manual.
So you can't call, but you could.
But
send a
that is
flyer.
public records. That information is out there, right? So there's a structure that the letter needs to have, and yeah, that is permissible.
You could.
Yeah,
You got to
you
follow
could.
the guidelines.
Yeah.
Very,
and they're
very
very
strict.
strict.
Like-
Yeah, they're very strict guidelines. And it's meant to protect the consumer, the client.
Correct.
Because imagine, like, that's why attorneys have bad raps, because in the past, the ambulance chaser or whatever,
Yeah.
like, nobody wants to be solicited, and
No.
nobody wants to feel
Shame.
Like,
pressured
like
or
exploited in a
chased.
point
Yeah.
in time where like they're already dealing with something terrible, and now you have like, hey, I'm ready to help you because I know you're going through that, and it's like, man, like
They're also in a very sensitive situation. Like,
Yeah.
you've either had an accident, a death, some
You're gonna
bad
lose your
shit.
home,
Yeah,
like-
something bad is happening. So they're in a position to be taken advantage of.
yeah.
Right.
And what you want to avoid is that.
Exactly. And that's why we are fiduciaries, right? Like, we owe a fiduciary duty.
Yeah, the client is what matters.
A fiduciary duty is one of the strongest duties you can owe to other people. And attorneys, like, inherently have a fiduciary duty to the client and to potential clients. So that's why we get conflicted out. If you come and you do a consult with me, like Juanito Perez comes and does a consult with me, I am conflicted out of his wife's case. She can't come to me now.
Yeah.
She has to go and get another attorney. I can't even listen to her.
Yeah.
Even if we haven't signed anything.
Correct.
Now
Oh,
I've
now
already
I know.
heard the
So I'm just gonna go
information.
in the ratio in the area, and I'm just gonna go to every attorney. You can't get none of these.
Yeah,
attorneys.
and people
For real?
do that. People do that.
What's
People
she
do
laughing?
that.
Why are you
So-
laughing?
It's been the case in which someone has hired an attorney just for that attorney not to be
not be able
hired
to-
by the other
By the
side.
other side. Pausa. One of the most famous TV shows of all time, The Sopranos. I don't know if
You
like,
love.
I fucking
I
love The
still haven't
Sopranos. I've seen it
freaking
like
seen
15
it.
million times.
I
What
haven't
did
seen it. I haven't
what
seen it.
you
I
know
have to
what
watch
Tony
it.
Soprano did?
No.
Tony Soprano called all of the major attorneys in New York and New Jersey and conflicted them out of Carmela's case when they were getting divorced.
That is genius.
You do that shit. You call every single top dog in the business.
Yeah.
You conflict them out. Your spouse is
That's
screwed.
it.
That's
Te
crazy. You
jodiste.
saw how I've never seen The Sopranos, and that's the first thing that came to my mind. I said, wait. So if I call any attorney, no contract, and I could just
Yeah.
No contract signed. They're conflicted out.
Yeah.
nice.
Yep. And it happens for mediators too. So if a mediator gave any type of consultation, they are also conflicted out of the mediation. They can't, because a lot of mediators are attorneys. You cannot then represent any of the parties. You can't be the mediator in the case if you gave one of the parties
Yeah, advice. or whatever.
advice.
And what you have to just? How long does that? Is there like a? Is there?
Forever.
No. I
No,
mean,
for
like,
that case.
how long does the conversation need to be for that?
2 minutes.
Wow. I'm
Yeah,
getting
if
insight
you
here.
gave
You have to
me
give me some sort of information.
Sure.
It can't be, hi, my name is Alexis. Can you help me with this? Like,
you
I
have
need
to
context.
like explore,
Yeah, it has to
explain
be
the case or
correct.
what you're going through. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Conflicted out because
Wait a
the
second, hold on.
hold on.
Go
The
ahead.
second, because this is important, people need to know this. The second you talk to an attorney, a client-attorney relationship is created, and it is confidential. So I cannot. Once you have, and that's why we need to get permission from people to talk about cases, to talk about
Yes.
like anything you hear us say here. The client already gave me permission to talk about it.
Yeah.
because it's all confidential, even if it's a potential client. I cannot talk about it.
It's also like very por arribita, like very superficial. Like you can say names, nothing will change. Like sex, like just
I don't give. I like.
It's confidential. What you talk to your client is confidential.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like that's a huge reason. Like me and my husband don't OC on anything. OC didactic moment. OC means opposing counsel.
Yes.
I don't OC with my husband.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, that'd be.
No, because we Chinese wall it. Like you Chinese wall the client relationship, right? Like we don't talk about that specific thing, but you want to just prevent any type of issue, like any kind of look of impropriety.
And not only that, you don't want to do anything that's gonna get you disqualified.
Yeah. You're trying to help somebody. The last thing you want is to be going through the whole thing. They're like, hey, wait a minute. You guys are married? There's no chance that you haven't brought it up once at home, and now all of a sudden you can't help this person anymore. It's like their issue is much bigger than me being able to get the case.
My husband has the password to my computer and to my phone. He can, if he really wanted to, he could go in and access text messages with clients, my emails. Like obviously he doesn't do that because he's also an attorney, and you know he respects privacy. But you know, if you're...
She's looking at me to see if she can say it.
Yeah.
She's like, can I continue
I know.
going? And
I
I'm
was
like,
like,
yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I was like, well...
If you guys haven't gathered, I am the loose cannon.
She's not.
No.
Everybody's always concerned if I'm going to say some wild stuff.
No. For the most part.
Because, I mean, the other day I said some wild stuff. You remember? I was like, I piggybacked off of this guy's commercial. And I was like, if...
BNI.
Yeah, in BNI, he's like, he owns a men's health clinic or whatever, and like you get testosterone shots, whatever. And I was like, if your baby daddy took too much testosterone and slapped you in the face, you can file a DV injunction against him. Yeah, and then my commercial,
happens.
Yeah, it does happen. And my commercial in BNI is like, if you hate your spouse, we'll sue him for divorce.
And you want us to be catchy. It's memorable.
If your baby daddy
That's great,
stop paying child support, we'll sue him for child support.
Yeah.
If you got the ability
I
to
don't see
make it
anything wrong
catchy
with
and
that.
funny, go for it. Why
Well,
not?
I'm glad it's legal approved.
No, yeah.
It is approved. It's just, you know.
It sounds weird.
Some people
No,
don't
it
like
doesn't sound weird. It's definitely frowned upon on the male community because now you're saying that because of testosterone, or the assumption is that if you're taking too much of it, now we can't take testosterone because it makes us violent. So the stigma behind the shot. But
Interesting.
listen, but it's the truth.
It's
not. Excuse me. It's not the truth, but it was a good way for you to pivot it.
It's like a good
into
segue. It's like
a great
right.
segue. Very smart. Very strategic. I see why you're a lawyer.
We have to be so careful with what we say all the time.
We put the blazers
I'm
on and
telling
it turned
you
into
that-
a whole other podcast. Next week, I'm not putting a fucking blazer on.
No, next week
I am sweaty.
I showered. So
I am sorry. Yeah, Claudia showered, but I put this blazer on.
I
over, like,
vacuumed the couch.
Yeah, she did vacuum the couch.
Yeah.
No, it was that I had a very positive experience with a judge in Seminole County this week. What a nice.
You went far.
It was,
Was it
on
on
Zoom.
Zoom?
Yeah, it was on Zoom. I didn't go up to Seminole County, God forbid. But he was just so nice. Like he was a general magistrate.
I like general magistrates.
I like general magistrates. He wasn't like the judge who signs the order or anything. But what a nice man.
What was there about it that made him that pleasant to be around?
First of all, his demeanor was very kind, very sweet. And he was like, "Oh, thank you for appearing, Miss Reyes." Blah blah blah. Like he was just like happy to be there.
I love
someone that
being
likes their
thanked
job.
for doing
Yeah,
my
he
job.
was happy to be there.
I
and
love to be recognized for doing my job.
And you know, I was making a legal argument for it wasn't to dismiss the case. It was because it was to quash service. No, it wasn't to quash service. It was a special appearance to contest jurisdiction.
Oh,
because,
I remember this. I was there.
Yeah, because the client was improperly served. Was not served, actually. Like
Yeah, technically
they
speaking.
did substitute service at a house that he did not live in. You can't do that. It has to be at the person's regular abode. Their house, like where they live, la casa, like where they live, like their regular place of abode. And you can do substitute service for if the person lives there and the person receiving service also lives there. So they like served.
Somebody else or something.
No, they served the house he hadn't lived in 15 years.
Yeah, it's not
They went to
even
a house he hadn't lived in 15 years
rational,
or something like that. Like it was a huge amount of time. Like it wasn't even he hasn't been living here for the last week. No. Like he hadn't been living there forever, and so it was a special appearance. And I asked him, I was like, Your Honor, may I make an ora tennis motion? This is a special appearance. Technically, this is a special appearance because I'm contesting jurisdiction. Does Your Honor mind if I make an ora tennis motion? Because
Ora tennis means it's not in writing,
Verbal.
it's just like verbal.
yeah,
A petition.
Ora, it means like orator, like speaking, ora tennis. And it was verbal, it wasn't in writing. And he's like, of course you can make your
That's
your
very
ora
nice.
tennis
That is
motion.
very nice.
A lot of judges will tell you no, you
Yeah.
can't make
Or
an
they'll
ora
be like,
tennis.
They'll be
why
like,
do you
unless you
think
had
you
this
can do
submitted
that
already.
now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's your basis for making an ora tennis motion? Because we're allowed to make motions ora tennis. That's like the whole point of having an ora
That's
tennis
why
motion.
it's got a name.
Yeah, that's why it's got a
Exists.
name. Yeah, but he was so nice. He's like, of course you can make your ora tennis motion. But either way, the party's not here, so I'm not gonna take action on this. Go ahead and file your motion to
How
vacate
kind.
this default. Have a great day.
That
And I
is
was like,
great.
That's so nice.
I was like, man,
Refreshing.
gotta go back to Seminole County more often.
Via
Me
Zoom.
gusta.
Via Zoom. Yeah, it was a very positive experience with a very nice judge.
That's nice.
Which I'm always afraid, right? Like, because I'm a Miami-Dade lawyer. I'm based out of Miami-Dade. Most of my practice is in Miami-Dade and Broward. And once you start going up in counties, they really prefer local counsel in some of these places.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
the outsider.
Yeah, you're the outsider. So to be received warmly and kindly in a county like Seminole County was nice. Like it was nice that he was very kind
And welcoming.
and welcoming.
And didn't leave you for last.
And didn't leave me for
And
last.
didn't make you
It was
wait.
a CMC, so
Yeah.
I was the only one on calendar. But
It didn't make you wait for 5 hours knowing that you were the only attorney who was not from West Palm Beach.
called all the pro ses before you.
And yes, and all the attorneys who were saying, hi, Judge, good seeing you again, counsel. Me waiting, the only attorney from Miami.
Yeah,
That was in West Palm Beach Court.
I got told the story one time.
5 hours.
That's
I
crazy.
waited for 5 minutes.
It's a
not
whole
even.
day.
5-minute calendar. Yeah, I got told the story
That's
by
why you
one
guys
of,
get paid so much.
I got told the story by one of my by my con law professor. He's a judge, cool guy, like really cool guy. He was telling us a story about Hunter.
We
Davis.
didn't take
Oh,
the
that's
same
right, you
class.
did. Okay.
Yeah.
Hunter
I was like-
Davis, is great judge, great teacher, like great guy. He was telling us a story one time about a colleague of his from Fort Lauderdale, not even Miami. It was from Fort Lauderdale. Had a case up in like the Panhandle, and the judge is one of those like old Southern guys, right? And he's like, "Oh, I see counsel from Miami." Miami. No, Your Honor, I'm actually from the Fort Lauderdale area. As I said, Miami.
Like, how to fucking.
And the attorney called the client, and I was like, I really think you should get local counsel.
For real.
Well, that's a good attorney though. He at least gave him.
Yeah, you have
gave
to
him,
let
like,
people
listen,
know,
this is gonna be a
100%.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Win-win.
if I see that the judge is hostile to female, Hispanic, young,
Yeah.
I'm telling my client immediately.
Get somebody
Listen,
else.
Like it's
Go-
gonna go much better for you
if you get if you
swap.
get local counsel, if you get a male counselor, because again, bias,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, it hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened to me
No.
yet, but I would.
I 100%.
I would tell the client, listen, I'd rather lose money
Yeah.
than lose my client's case because the judge hates me.
100%. No.
I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
So how you doing today?
Hello, U.S. citizen, sir.
And where are you headed to today?
I don't answer questions, sir.
You don't answer any questions? Why is that?
My Fifth Amendment. I just go by the law, sir.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Is this your vehicle, sir?
I'd rather not answer no questions.
Okay. Would you mind if I take a look in your truck at all?
I prefer not to.
Okay.
I do have my firearm in the bag, but that's it.
Okay. Is it yours or is it
It's
stolen?
registered to me.
You know, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to answer all my questions.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna run a dog, just run a vehicle right over here.
You can run it down here. I'd rather not go to secondary either, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not doing anything bad. I mean,
No, you're not. Then I'm gonna have you pulled.
I am good here, sir. I am not committing no crime. So
You are blocking. You are impeding
you
traffic.
you are.
Who's driving the vehicle?
I am.
Okay. So who's impeding traffic?
You're stopping me. You're the one that's talking to me. If I go up my way, I'm not gonna impede no traffic. Am I right?
But you're being seized. You're not released.
Seized for what reason? I haven't committed no crime.
Here is seized temporarily.
Not really. Only if there's probable cause. This is an immigration checkpoint. You gotta learn your rights, and you're about to learn your rights with the supervisor that's gonna come.
Sir.
Jamie, pull that video up.
And this is.
So what are your thoughts on that one?
I thought he did very good.
He did well.
And he was respectful, which is what I like.
Very. And
Because a lot of those videos you see that people, I'm all for you sticking up for yourself, know your rights, but do it in a respectful manner. You don't have to be,
you don't have to be a dick.
Like, it just comes off the wrong way. Like, just do it the right
And
way.
it
and you're gonna
escalates the
get your point.
situation.
Yeah, for no reason. And then you see these crazy videos, and I'm like, just say it respectfully. That's it. I loved it. He was great.
he did
Don't talk to the cops.
Yeah. Don't
Do it. You're gonna say something.
that you shouldn't
That is
say
not-
or could be misconstrued or
Yes.
used against you one way or the other. Just don't say anything.
Listen, Fifth Amendment. I don't have to talk.
I like that.
Jamie, pull that video up.
And it's a cat collar. I'm currently identifying as a cat. Fair enough. The information here on the tag, I'm assuming belongs to you, the boyfriend?
Yeah, that's so rude. I hope you know I'm recording.
Well, it wasn't my intention to offend you, but he just identified as a cat, and you're wearing a Harriet's Waltz t-shirt, so we can do this the hard way if you'd like. I can have this car towed, because last I checked, a cat is not licensed to operate a motor vehicle in the state of California. We can have animal control come get you, take you to a shelter where your owner can retrieve you for a fee of $70 after you're given the necessary immunizations, which do include a rabies shot, possibly even spayed or neuter, whichever you prefer or identify with. Is that what you guys want to do here? Healthcare professional come down here on scene and do an evaluation of you because you're considering letting him take a rabies shot rather than just give me an ID, use some manners so I can give you your ticket and move along.
That was great. What? That
That was
great.
a good reaction from the cop. Listen, when people do things like, I identify as a cat, I don't know if he's trying to be funny, but like, okay, first of all, you're watering down the entire like trans community. Don't do shit like that. Like, that's not cool. But why are you being difficult with the cop, bro? All you're doing is escalating a situation that you could have been out of in 5 minutes.
Again, for no reason.
He had listen. When you get a license, I mean in Florida, I don't know about in California, but in Florida, you consent to a certain amount of things. One of them is having to hand over the license when a cop stops you. Just comply, bro.
Like, why are you making his job more difficult than it needs to be? Like, they deal with enough crap on a daily basis for you to sit there and do all that. Like,
What do you think is going to happen if you tell a police officer that you identify as a cat while driving?
I thought that was very smart.
It was
cop.
funny,
Yeah,
though.
it was really funny. Okay.
I'm struggling creating my LLC.
What do you mean you're struggling to create your
I'm
LLC?
overthinking names and trying to figure out.
Names don't
if
mean
it's-
Hold on. You're struggling to come up with the name?
Yeah.
Do you know what my personal LLC is?
I know you've got Gary V, Vayner Media.
No. You know what the world knows it as, but the registered LLC is attention at scale. Means nothing.
Okay.
What's your favorite color?
Green.
And what's your first name again?
Rhonda.
I literally want you to register Green Rhonda Austin LLC. That is the name of your LLC. Go spend $267 or whatever the it is. Register your LLC. Here's why. What you sell in front of that LLC can be a totally different brand name. I don't need you to overthink your LLC. That's silly. Do you understand?
Yeah, perfectly.
That was good.
That was good. That was great.
But it's straight to the point. It's what it needs to be. Like,
Yeah.
people overthink the, like, minute details, and I'm like, let's get to the important part. Like,
Yeah, that doesn't move the needle.
That's just a projection of like being scared to start your own business and doing your own shit.
it's like drowning in a cup of water. It's like, okay, you're gonna have much bigger issues to worry about. If that was your big thing, you're in for a rough ride.
Yeah.
But like, just because you register your LLC doesn't mean you need to do business as that.
Yeah.
As that name, you can do a DBA.
Yeah.
A 15-year-old boy is fighting with his dad. Kid runs away from home on a Sunday. He gets to San Jose International Airport. Not the best security at San Jose Airport. He walks up to a chain link fence and climbs over a chain link fence, and now he's down on the tarmac. He
That's
looks at
gotta
the
be some
closest
type of
plane,
federal
goes up to
felony.
that plane, climbs up into the wheel well, which has a
Also
little
a
kind of
felony.
compartment in the wheel well, curls himself up in a ball, and sits there. The plane takes off. The kid had no idea where this plane would be going. What he doesn't know is that this is a Hawaiian Airlines flight destined for Maui. He won the stowaway lottery. The plane takes off 50 degrees below zero at 30,000 feet for 5.5 hours. The kid passes out, but he survives this thing. The plane lands in Maui, and the ground crew sees him hop down onto the tarmac and start walking around. And they're like, oh my God, what happened? They go and get him and call security. The cops and the FBI are called. The kid is interviewed, and his story's solid. There are also people saying like he should have been charged with a crime.
I mean, that's the first thing I said. I'm like, that's got to be some type of federal felony.
How old was he?
I didn't get that. I don't remember that part, but I wanted to bring that clip in because family law over here. Something had to have. I mean, he ran away from home.
Kids are dumb though. They do shit like that all the time.
I get it, I guess, right? You don't have kids, but yeah, I mean, I get it.
Damn, that felt pointed.
Right?
You don't have kids.
That was
You
the
don't have
first
kids.
thing I thought. I'm like,
But
I don't
it's-
have kids. I don't know. I feel like there's so
But
much more
there's
going
a
on
lot
here.
more. Yeah. The kids
Like,
are not going to
that's-
do random things.
that's
to do
not
random
Maybe
just
he ran away
because-
because his dad.
So
beats him
I
or
brought
something.
that clip in because let's say the parents are split and the kid ran away from home. What happens there?
Like who's at fault?
Or who gets custody of the child?
Oh, that
I mean, it
depends.
depends.
Yeah.
But let's say the parents are split and the child was in between homes, let's say 50-50. Who has the right to, and something happened in one of the houses, or he's tired of being in both of the houses and he ran away.
So much there, like
There's
how
a
old
lot.
is
There's
the
a lot to
child?
unpack. there,
There's a
so.
lot of details that I need. What does the order look like? Who has parental responsibility? I mean,
Are they even divorced?
are they divorced? Do
Right.
they live together? Like, well, I get what you're saying. Like, if
Yeah,
this
like
was
the
a divorce
hypothetical,
case,
yeah.
what would
Yeah.
happen? You mean who gets custody of the kid because the kid ran away from one of the parents?
Right.
Maybe the state is gonna have do an investigation to find out what
Could be,
happened.
yeah.
So that's like pretty intense thing to do. That's not
Yeah.
like you didn't just like go down to the street and hop on a bus and like it took you too far. You climbed into an airplane on the bottom for 5.5 hours. He could have died.
He could have died. Yeah, for
Like
sure. He
then
could
they would
have
have
died
had
of
a
hypothermia.
much bigger issue on their hands, and now
Yeah.
someone's gonna go to jail.
Well, I mean, if the kid ran away, that's not necessarily the parent's fault.
You-
But let's say that the kid ran away because he's being abused. The other parent has the right to investigate that. There's going to be an investigation open. The judge is going to temporarily suspend time sharing. They don't just like leave the kid with the abusive parent. The other parent goes to court, gets a temporary suspension of time sharing, and then they have the kid until everything is resolved.
And that's the basis of arrest?
Is this it?
Good morning, Mr. McLean. Sir, you're charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. You're facing
Is
up
that
to
the
6
judge?
months in jail
Why is he not enrolled?
and or $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Do you know your Miranda rights? Hold on.
An officer initiated a traffic
Do
stop.
you know your Miranda rights?
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you can say or anything you do or say can be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to counsel, legal representation. You have.
If you can't afford an attorney.
If you can't afford an
For
attorney,
attorney,
one
we
will be
will appoint
appointed
one
to you
by
by
the
a court
state,
of law. Do
a
you
court of
understand these rights?
Yes. I've been read my Miranda.
Muy bien.
It's important to know your
After
rights.
observing the defendant exceed a speed limit of 45 miles per hour and make unsafe lane changes. The defendant did not have his driver's license, but told the officer his name and date of birth. While the officer was running the defendant's name, he observed the defendant exit his vehicle, and the officer told the defendant to get back inside the vehicle. And the defendant responded, "Do I have to?" The officer exited the vehicle and attempted to detain the defendant. The defendant tensed up and locked his arms.
Everything is conclusory. What has he done wrong? What?
It was the initial lane changes, unsafe lane changes, and the exceeding the speed limit that prompted the stop. And then at that point, he was just attempting to get
Stop.
Your probable
You give
cause.
him a tip.
How exceeding speed limit? How fast was he going? I mean,
It is conclusive.
This morning, who told me that he was pacing the defendant at 54 miles per hour.
okay, in a what?
I'm sorry?
In a what?
What's the speed limit?
I mean, if it's on 610, he's fine, right? And then he's interference duties. What is he interfering with? What did he do wrong?
I think it was after the stop was
I think-
initiated, the officer was running the plates, the defendant stepped
have to
out of
know.
his vehicle. The officer told him to get back in the vehicle. The defendant said, "Do I have to?" The officer told me that
And that's the basis of arrest?
Not in Florida, at least.
See how it
Yes,
was, Your Honor.
Don't.
Are you losing?
Yeah,
Okay.
shut the fuck up.
Right.
And Your Honor, furthermore, as he was attempting to detain him, he locked his arms and tensed up. So as he was attempting to detain
What do you
him,
want him to
following
give
that
you a
incident
hug?
and telling him to get back in the vehicle. And it was that.
What's the basis for arrest?
It was just a
Talking
temporary
about black?
detention. He was just attempting to detain him while he was trying to
What's he
investigate.
doing wrong? What's he doing wrong?
65.
No, I don't think so.
He got stopped for going
To
55
find no
to
probable
65.
cause.
You don't probable
No,
cause.
it's just he gets out of the car, and then it just the virtue of fact him getting out in the car is interfering with the duties. Really? No.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's a good judge.
When you get into, just be careful out there, man. Life is hard as it is. When you get into, you gotta be careful, man. People always have to get you. Be nice. It's not hard. Things will go well for you,
Great.
Look, I got it. I'm with you, okay? Just hang tight with me for a second, okay? All right.
I can cry right now.
That made me so happy.
That made me so happy.
Good judge.
Wow.
Great. That's what it's about.
Good judge. How are you gonna stop somebody for going 54 in a 65? You stopped them because
Give
he
him
was
a
driving
ticket.
while being black. That's
Yep.
what he was stopped for. Because you don't have probable cause, you can't stop him. You need probable cause to conduct a stop.
Give me a ticket. That's it. But
And then give me a
He
ticket.
couldn't even give him a ticket. Like, there's nothing
interfering,
to...
but yeah, there's reason interfering with duties.
That's crazy. I'm
That
so happy
was
that
great.
that judge did what he did.
Good judge.
That was great.
Very, very good judge.
So I picked that clip as the last one.
Good
Yeah.
one.
And this
So-
is why we became attorneys.
Yeah, because you got good judges like that. So if you want to be a good judge, like, subscribe, catch us on the next one.
I don't think that'll make you a good judge, but we can help anyways. So come back and watch us next week.
And if you need help,
rrb-lawyers.com.
and what's our phone number?
305-209-1335. I didn't know you pointed at.
Damn,
I'm excited. I'm ready to roll.